Singaitla. Good day. Title Hanudik Kaigaga. I am Title, which translates to coming in big. Dalang at di Kuraga. It is so nice to be here with you all. My given name is Cohen Bradley, and I come from Haida Gwaii. And today I'd like to begin in gratitude. When I leave Haida Gwaii, I have the opportunity to travel across some of the most diverse and beautiful territories in the world, and to be hosted by Indigenous peoples from across the country with vibrant cultures and whose deep connections to their lands and waters fill me with hope. And so again I say I am grateful to all my relations and to our kunisi, to our ancestors. It is by your efforts that we have all that we hold dear. I think that is something that Canadians and travelers don't always realize, is that we as Indigenous people are often guests on the territories of other nations. And as such, we have the same deeply impactful opportunities to engage with new cultures and learn new knowledge. We also share in the responsibilities. And I'd like to share with you some of the ways in which I look to be a good guest. I walk lightly on the land. I support my hosts in their stewardship. And I act as a witness. I learn all that I can, and as I move forward, I share my experiences on into the future. I come from a culture where our intellectual property is among our most valuable possessions. Our stories, our songs, our dances, face paints, our crests and our names, and our oral histories are only gifted for others to share for very significant reasons. To purchase territory, or to make peace while at war, or even to honor a person who has saved your life. I share this to put into perspective the value of the experience you can have at Indigenous tourism businesses. I share this also as a reminder to both guests and those that act as a voice for tourism in Canada, who may in fact be given permission to carry these stories into the world. Yet as we share these pieces of our cultures, it is not for our guests to come away and recount the stories told. Rather, it is for them to be present witnesses and to be so moved that they can't help but share, not as reporters, which risks taking away that opportunity from others, but as a person transformed, as a person inspired, as I have been countless times. Hawa, merci, thank you.
Thank you, Cohen. Hello, bonjour. Thank you for joining us today. Bienvenue à tous. My name is Lisa Frula. I'm the chair of the board of Destination Canada. Mon nom, Lisa Frula. Je suis présidente du conseil d'administration de Destination Canada. I am talking to you from the beautiful, beautiful Montreal. I have to tell you something. I've been amazed at the amount of bold thinking, innovation, creativity, pure drive that has been shown over the last year. Not just within Destination Canada and their team, but from all of their partners from coast to coast to coast. And we can't wait to share with you some of the work that has been done. Destination Canada, ben, vous le savez, c'est une société d'État qui appartient exclusivement au gouvernement du Canada. Elle a été créée en vertu de la commission, la loi sur la commission du tourisme. Et comme vous allez le voir dans la présentation aujourd'hui, la stratégie d'entreprise de Destination Canada, la stratégie a été lancée en 2021, a orienté une foule d'importantes nouvelles initiatives pour accélérer la reprise du secteur touristique. With the pandemic behind us, yes, we're at a new starting place. Travel is different now. Travel business have changed and operate differently. Travelers have changed also. So our approach to helping our industry thrive has changed as well. I feel confident that we're heading into a bright future for tourism in Canada. Moi, je veux faire un merci tout spécial à notre PDG, Marshall Wilder, à tout le personnel pour leur immense travail. Merci à notre conseil d'administration composé de bénévoles. My members are fantastic, really, and generous, and they love tourism. Et ces membres-là nous ont guidés pendant cette période difficile, marquée par toutes les perturbations qu'on a connues. Votre talent, dear members, votre dévouement sont remarquables. To start us off today is Honorable Randy Boissonneau, our dynamic Minister of Tourism, but also Associate Minister of Finance. Minister, thank you. Thank you for your continued support to believe as much as you believe in our sector. And, well, thank you from Destination Canada also. In particular for the $100 million over 3 years that you've provided in the 2021 budget to support sector recovery. And thank you for the $50 million for the next 3 years provided in budget 2023 to attract major international events in Canada. These were much needed investment in rebuilding the success of our industry. Après le ministre, Marsha, l'équipe vont prendre la parole. Je vous souhaite une bonne présentation. Et au nom du conseil d'administration, je vous remercie de tout ce que vous faites pour favoriser la prospérité et le bien-être de nos communautés à travers le Canada grâce au secteur du tourisme. Sans plus tarder, je passe la parole à notre ministre, Randy Boissonneau.
Hello and welcome, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. I'm sending you my warmest greetings from the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation here in Ottawa. My friends, what a pleasure it is to kick off your annual public meeting this year. I'd like to begin by thanking everyone at Destination Canada for never losing sight of your goal. Even when the world was thrown into a once-in-a-generation pandemic, you were a stalwart champion of tourism, and more importantly, the people who power it from coast to coast to coast. Tourism is an expression of who we are, and like us, it's always evolving. It's an industry as fluid as it is powerful, and it takes us on a journey that leads us somewhere new, whether it's a destination or a new place within ourselves. Whether it's through unique Indigenous experiences or thrilling major sporting events like FIFA 2026, tourism connects us with communities, with like-minded people, and with memorable experiences. Le tourisme nous fait entrer en contact avec nous-mêmes et plus encore. Je pense entre autres au caractère unique des expériences autochtones ou à l'adrénaline des grands événements sportifs comme la Coupe du Monde de la FIFA qui se tiendra chez nous en 2026. That's why it's such an incredible economic engine, fueled by our insatiable desire to do, see, and be more. Le tourisme est un moteur incroyable, alimenté par notre désir insatiable d'en faire plus, d'en voir plus et de nous épanouir. And our new federal tourism growth strategy will be a springboard to reach even greater heights together. Notre nouvelle stratégie fédérale pour la croissance du tourisme sera un tremplin vers de nouveaux sommets ensemble. So my friends, I'm counting on you to continue your work to shine a spotlight on our country's diverse and compelling tourism attractions and bring the world back to Canada. Je sais que Destination Canada continuera de promouvoir auprès du monde entier la diversité des formidables expériences touristiques que nous avons à offrir. That's why our government earmarked $50 million in budget 2023 for you to spread the message that Canada is waiting for travelers with open arms. C'est pourquoi le gouvernement a proposé dans le budget de 2023 de verser 50 millions de dollars à Destination Canada pour faire savoir au monde entier que le Canada est prêt à les accueillir à bras ouverts. And I know you will continue to do the amazing work that you've always done. Through cooperation across the industry, we, as Team Canada, can elevate our tourism operators and their visitor experiences to the benefit of all Canadians from coast to coast to coast. Canadian tourism is unlike any industry. It's a reflection of who we are as a people, as a community, and as a country. So together, let's show the world. All the best on your 2023 annual public meeting, and I look forward to continuing our work together.
Thank you, Minister, and welcome everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the Minister on the recently launched Federal Tourism Growth Strategy, which will help lay the foundations for our sector's future growth, investment, and stability. Along with our industry partners from coast to coast to coast, we've worked very closely together to make united recommendations on the Federal Tourism Growth Strategy, and we look forward to working closely with our Minister as together we build an even more resilient and competitive tourism sector. We have lots to share with you today in a very short period of time. First, we're going to look back at 2022 to report on the highlights from the year and where we are in the rebuilding of our sector. Ensuite, nous ferons le point sur l'année en cours et sur la façon dont nous planifions le succès en prenant des décisions audacieuses et en travaillant sur nos priorités pour 2023 et les années à venir. And finally, we will give a short glimpse into some of the work that we're doing to build long-term sector resilience and transformative growth. But we'll save most of that story for when we launch our new strategy in the fall. Let's look at 2022 and where we are in rebuilding our sector. There's lots of good news. Overall, we know restarting has been enormously difficult, but we've made significant strides as an industry. Most of our industry has survived, and in part, that's thanks to the $23 billion invested in our sector by the federal government during the pandemic. Plusieurs centres de villégiature, entreprises et communautés au Canada faisaient bonne figure à la fin de 2022. Certains faisaient même mieux qu'avant la pandémie. Le taux d'occupation des hôtels était bon dans la plupart des régions. Il s'approchait des niveaux de 2019 et les surpassait même dans certains endroits. De plus, en 2022, le tourisme autochtone a continué sa reconstruction et une stratégie ambitieuse pour l'avenir a été lancée. Air connectivity between key international markets and Canada has been steadily improving, albeit with different recovery rates depending on the market. The markets that did open for us were very strong. Mais à la fin de l'année, il y avait toujours des défis. Au Canada, la reprise est très inégale d'une région et d'un sous-secteur à l'autre. Par exemple, des centres urbains ont un important retard à cause de la reprise au ralenti des voyages d'affaires. The United Nations World Tourism Organization states that world travel in 2022 reached only 63% of pre-pandemic levels. And here in Canada, international overnight arrivals reached only 58% of levels that we saw in 2019. And pretty much all of our Asian markets were still not there at all. At year end, Japan was 20% recovered. China was only 9%. Pour des raisons de santé publique, le Canada a réouvert ses frontières après plusieurs de ses concurrents. Aussi, comme de nombreux pays ont investi massivement dans la relance de leur secteur touristique. La concurrence est féroce. Let's hear from industry leaders across the country to remember the year it was and the challenges that have been impacting recovery in the tourism industry.
Recovery is going well, but there's still a lot of unknowns and a lot of uncertainty.
Oui, évidemment, plusieurs petits soucis, peut-être au niveau économique, l'inflation, le prix, les coûts, le retour aux habitudes aussi très rapidement, aux habitudes pré-pandémiques.
The challenges will continue on our labor front. We need to work together to build up the offering that we have as an industry to tell the stories about how great it is to work within the tourism sector.
Alors, pour le Canada, c'est certain qu'on a besoin de recouvrir notre réputation. En termes d'accès à la destination, ça doit être beaucoup plus facile d'y entrer. Aujourd'hui, c'est un peu plus compliqué. Et puis, toute l'expérience qu'on a à vivre, que ce soit de l'aéroport à la destination, doit être simplifiée. On doit améliorer cette facilité à la destination.
Connectivity and air access continues to be an issue that is concerning to the continued growth of the Canadian tourism sector.
I think the labor force issue is a huge challenge, especially in the tourism industry.
Although we want to be on the path to recovery, a lot of our tour operators, specifically in the Indigenous communities, are still struggling. They have had to move on to other ventures.
We lost a tremendous amount of our workforce during COVID, and they went on to other careers. And so finding replacement has been a challenge. It's a challenge right across the country.
How do we make sure that airfares and ground transportation, accommodations and retail and restaurants and all of those things don't continue to escalate, and that we find that perfect balance?
We need more people, more of our communities, more of our residents to become involved in the tourism industry.
What troubles me the most is this concept that we're back to normal. We still have a lot of development and marketing work in all sectors of tourism, and I think we have to keep focused on meeting those challenges.
After almost 3 years of devastation to our industry, these losses are still being felt by tourism businesses and employees throughout Canada, and we're conscious of that. Even in the glow of the recent and much welcomed rebound, the reality is that restarting has been really hard, much harder than most of us ever imagined, and we still have a ways to go. Malgré les défis, nous avons bien avancé et nous sommes toujours sur la bonne voie. Même si nous ressentons toujours les effets de la pandémie, nous nous dirigeons vers une reprise complète avec optimisme. Now we're moving from surviving to thriving. Jetons maintenant un coup d'œil au travail que DC a fait pour poser les bases de l'avenir.
2022 was the year Canada opened back up to the world, and we started rebuilding tourism. We built a library of new research and an abundance of data insights. Nous avons bâti une équipe forte pour mieux soutenir et représenter le Canada, une équipe entièrement vouée au développement des destinations. We fortified connections with travel trade, travel media, and partners around the globe, like TED, the Trans-Canada Trail, CNN, The Economist, Air Canada, WestJet, as well as many international airlines and Canadian airports. Nous avons collaboré avec Spotify pour diffuser les sons et les histoires du Canada. Et nous avons fait équipe avec la presse pour créer des tours guidés uniques. We renewed and expanded our partnership with the Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada to support the rebuilding and recovery of the Indigenous tourism industry in Canada. Nous avons misé sur l'ouverture pour renouveler la vision qu'ont les voyageurs du Canada et pour aider le pays à se démarquer, nous avons mis en valeur l'ouverture unique du Canada. We built international marketing campaigns that grabbed attention. Like this one, and this one, and this one. Notre équipe des événements d'affaires a fait la promotion du Canada de façon captivante et a invité les gens à se réunir de nouveau en personne dans notre pays. 2022 will be remembered as the year we opened Canada again. For more of this, and this, and this. And once again, began creating more wealth and well-being for all of Canada.
And we want tourism to be better at creating net benefits for our country. We're adopting a regenerative approach to tourism growth. Now, regenerative tourism is the idea that visitors should leave a place better and that the tourism sector contributes net benefits to its host communities, socioculturally, environmentally, and economically, of course. Plus tard cette année, nous vous présenterons plus en détail notre approche régénératrice du tourisme et un nouveau cadre des mesures pour la prospérité et le bien-être. Maintenant, Michel et Gloria parleront des résultats généraux de leur travail en 2022.
Marcia painted a good overall picture of the state of tourism based on shifts in our key markets and uneven recovery throughout the country. The key to this work in 2022 has been our ability to have timely, reliable data that we could use to identify the best opportunities to speed up the recovery by doing it in a way that leads to a stronger, more resilient industry for the future. Durant la dernière année, nous avons grandement amélioré nos capacités de veille stratégique et d'exploitation de données. Nous avons élargi notre bassin de données et utilisé cette information pour orienter nos stratégies et prendre de meilleures décisions d'investissement. We've taken a bold choice to shift away from primarily focusing on consumer research and public data to becoming insight-driven, also using both supply and demand industry data. For example, in 2022, we developed new resources, tools, case studies, and data from Canada and around the world on destination development. We will launch this information in 2023. Nous avons aussi effectué d'importantes analyses pour mieux comprendre notre compétitivité à l'échelle mondiale, les tendances principales dans le domaine des voyages et l'avenir du tourisme à l'aide de nos capacités de prévision améliorées. D'ailleurs, la production de notre rapport Perspectives touristiques de l'automne 2022 a été complexe. Il fallait tenir compte de nombreux facteurs standards, comme l'inflation, mais aussi de nouveaux facteurs, comme les restrictions aux frontières, l'opinion des voyageurs dans les marchés sources, une éventuelle récession et, malheureusement, la guerre en Ukraine. These forecasts have helped us become a more competitive destination to capitalize on the opportunities ahead. And we also went deeper into understanding our key target audience, the high-value guest. We shifted our focus to attract guests who bring the most value to Canada. We refer to them as our high-value guests because of what, where, when, how, and why they spend their time and money. We care about their value and values. We're targeting travelers that have a higher than average income, travel more frequently, and show intentions of traveling within the next 2 years, including families and long-duration visitors. These are curious travelers who actively seek culture, engage with locals, value experiences over price, and love what Canada offers. They travel in off-peak seasons, and they enjoy both urban centers and places off the beaten path. Nous avons utilisé de nouveaux renseignements pour réévaluer le potentiel de chaque État américain et de chaque marché étranger dans le but de mieux répartir les ressources de marketing, de produire le meilleur rendement pour le Canada et d'accroître notre part de marché.
Now, let's look a little deeper into business events. Au cours des dernières années, les réunions d'affaires et les congrès se sont adaptés et ont évolué plus que jamais auparavant. Le milieu des affaires s'est d'abord tourné vers les rencontres virtuelles pendant la pandémie, puis vers le modèle hybride pendant la reprise et maintenant vers les pratiques durables pour l'avenir. Throughout these changes, we've been supporting business events like never before. Because major business events are booked years in advance, 2, 5 years, 10 years even, we needed to keep Canada top of mind for decision makers. But as Canada was closed to travel due to the pandemic, meeting planners weren't considering us. Our future pipeline prospects were impacted, and we needed to catch up. In 2022, we funded Team Canada's presence in international sales and marketing efforts, freeing up their funds for their individual priorities. We supported participation in major trade shows and events, led strategic partnerships, increased Canada's thought leadership in global platforms, content development, and advertising in target publications. Lorsque les restrictions de voyage ont été levées dans nos marchés principaux en 2022, l'équipe de Destination Canada a renouvelé ses efforts pour attirer de futurs événements au pays, en faisant de la promotion lors des événements et de salons internationaux majeurs, comme Innovation Canada et Motivation Canada, 2 événements que nous organisons. Incentive Canada, hosted in Nova Scotia this past summer, brought together 20 international buyers to discover what makes this destination an incentive reward for corporate achievers that's worth bragging about, from boat trips and helicopter rides to interactive culinary experiences. Incentive Canada was also held this year in February in Quebec with a full roster of seasonal activities that make for ideal incentive rewards for their clients. An afternoon at Cabane à Sucre, the Sugar Shack, canoe à glace, ice canoeing, and ice climbing at Montmorency Falls. Innovation Canada, tenu à St. John's, incarnait notre stratégie des secteurs économiques en mettant en vitrine le leadership mondial du Canada dans le domaine des technologies et des sciences océaniques. Compte tenu de son grand succès, nous avons décidé d'organiser une 2e édition axée sur le secteur océanique à Victoria, en Colombie-Britannique, en 2023. Another important project launched in 2022 was our National Business Events Sustainability Plan. We're collaborating with destinations across the country, and by providing tourism partners with the tools, resources, and knowledge to improve their own sustainability offering in their communities, we will help propel the sustainability movement forward in Canada. 16 destinations participent à ce projet et mesurent elles-mêmes leurs retombées grâce à l'indice international de suivi du développement durable. Through this work, we will lead the change toward a new era of travel that is regenerative and that demonstrates the thought leadership of Canadians and makes our cities more competitive, and that ultimately benefits all. Autre bonne nouvelle, les planificateurs de réunions étrangers ont indiqué que le Canada était parmi leurs premiers choix pour leurs événements d'affaires dans les 2 prochaines années. And we're thrilled to share that Canada has made a triumphant return to the top 10 in the 2022 conference rankings, securing the 10th position in the latest update from the International Congress and Convention Association. Impressively, 3 Canadian cities made it to the top 10 in the Americas region. Montreal took the 2nd spot, Vancouver secured 4th, and Toronto tied for the 5th place with Lima. Further good news, of course, is the recent boost of $50 million in funding over 3 years announced by our federal government, which will be a big assist to boost our ability to attract events across the country and help full recovery to pre-pandemic levels. On voit que tout le travail effectué l'année passée pour garder le Canada en tête des priorités porte des fruits. et nous sommes de nouveau prêts à accueillir des événements au pays. I'll also touch on a few of our 2022 global marketing efforts for leisure travelers. En 2022, nous nous sommes concentrés sur la reprise du marché américain en créant des campagnes de marketing pour attirer au Canada les invités à valeur élevée dont Michel parlait plus tôt. One great performing U.S. market campaign we created is Canada Refresh Your View. Driven by the insight that time in nature has endless health benefits, we position Canada as the ultimate antidote to the stress Americans were facing. The wellness benefits of time in nature and Canada's vast network of parks, coastlines, mountains, and wildlife. One part of the campaign put Canada's national parks in the spotlight and resulted in 2.3 billion earned media impressions in top media such as Travel and Leisure, Affaires magazine, National Geographic, and CBS. Pour nos marchés étrangers, nous avons organisé des rencontres virtuelles et en personne entre nos partenaires de l'équipe Canada, nos partenaires dans les marchés et les voyagistes. Nous avons aidé nos partenaires canadiens à réintégrer les marchés étrangers grâce à divers événements et salons professionnels. A new event for us in 2022 was Showcase Canada Europe, which allowed for an unprecedented number of Canadian businesses to spend more quality time with key tour operators from all over Europe during an important rebuilding stage of Canada's recovery. As connections were being reestablished among the travel industry, we were also introducing new, innovative, and unexpected ways to support recovery from international markets. As part of our campaign in Mexico, just as one example, we partnered with luxury department store El Palacio to meaningfully tap into their high-end customer base to promote Canada's winter activities. Cependant, tout ce travail pour alimenter la demande fait dans le cadre des événements d'affaires, de salons, de campagnes et de partenaires dans nos marchés cibles nécessaires le soutien d'un accès aérien solide au Canada. As a result of COVID, we lost 90% of air passenger traffic in Canada, or 27 million inbound seats from our key target markets, with the majority lost from our largest market, the U.S. The reestablishment of U.S. air routes into Canada was critical for the recovery of the entire tourism sector. Here are some examples of the marketing efforts with airline partners, including their frequent flyer loyalty programs. À la fin de 2022, nous avons ciblé nos efforts sur le soutien de liaisons aériennes précisées. Nous avons donné du financement à des compagnies aériennes partenaires pour qu'elles collaborent directement avec nos partenaires régionaux comme les aéroports et les organismes de marketing de destination des villes, des provinces et des territoires. Jusqu'à maintenant, ce programme a aidé à générer plus de 114 000 visites additionnelles au Canada.
Well, thanks, Michelle and Gloria. Now let's spend just a few minutes on our key priorities for this year. First, growing market share in the United States. In 2022, we're pleased to say that we have gained market share in all of our key markets, with the exception of the United States. While this may sound like really great news, it's certainly tempered by the fact that the US is our single largest market. In 2019, it represented 68% of total overnight arrivals in Canada, and more critically, 48% of our total international visitor economic activities. In 2023, we're strengthening our brand work to get more market share from the US. Gloria, can you tell us a bit more about that?
I sure can. Our competitive reviews identified that we needed to do more to have the Canada brand stand out from the crowd and be noticed. People in the United States need more compelling reasons to visit Canada. So our new global brand strategy is helping to differentiate us and motivate them.
Question: who are we? What makes Canada, Canada?
Comme pays, on n'est pas facile à résumer. Pas juste parce qu'on est vraiment, vraiment très, très grand.
But because we're home to people like this, and also this guy. Seriously, look at this guy. Does he need help?
On a toutefois une chose en commun. Quelque chose qui nous définit en tant qu'humains, qui définit notre territoire.
We are open. Not just open for business. No, we are open for business.
Et pas juste ouvert au tourisme. Ben, on l'est aussi, mais c'est plus que ça. On est des gens ouverts. On est ouverts sur les différents styles de vie.
In Canada, we celebrate wide open spaces. We embrace new ideas. We welcome our neighbors in more than one language, like this one and this one.
On ouvre notre cœur à ceux et celles qui ont l'esprit ouvert, qui recherchent des expériences de voyage significatives et uniques, à ceux et celles qui sortent des sentiers battus.
Excuse me, sir? In Canada, we see tourism as a force for good, a way to spread wealth and well-being far and wide, a way to connect with one another, with nature, with ourselves.
Parce que plus on est ouvert, mieux on se porte.
So now, it's up to us. Let's inspire the world with our openness. They're gonna see it,
l'entendre,
smell it,
la ressentir,
and taste it. Clam juice. We'll make sure that when they leave, they'll bring that feeling with them and make the world just a little bit more open.
C'est ça le Canada.
To deepen the perception of Canada as open, we have to do new things. And I'd like to share some of the work that we did throughout 2022 that launched in early 2023 to explore the idea of openness through a partnership with the global brand behemoth we know as TED. Perhaps you've already watched some of the inspiring videos released so far, which have garnered over 7 million views. Vous remarquez peut-être qu'à Destination Canada, nous pensons différemment. Nous essayons toujours d'apprendre, d'innover et de changer la façon dont nous voyons le tourisme ainsi que son apport à la prospérité et au bien-être de la population canadienne. Nous souhaitons aussi que nos invités pensent différemment, qu'ils fassent preuve d'ouverture et qu'ils soient inspirés par un sentiment de liberté et de renouveau. But if we want the world to rethink what they know about Canada, we need to create conversations about our destination that help us stand apart. TED Talks helped us to create a global conversation about openness, ideas worth sharing.
That was certainly an innovative approach to having people rethink what they know about Canada and position us in new ways. Gloria, pourriez-vous donner un exemple de campagne de marketing qu'on a déployée aux États-Unis?
Il y a tant de bons exemples. Voici quelques extraits de la série en 3 parties créée avec CNN, mettant en vedette 3 voyageuses américaines. Chaque vidéo traite de sujets qui interpellent profondément nos invités à valeur élevée, comme la cuisine, la nature et la communauté. Elle vise à inciter les voyageurs à être ouverts aux nouvelles expériences. My favorite is this video featuring Kia, an award-winning chef who explores the native Mi'kmaq and a Canadian cuisine of Nova Scotia. We have equally stunning videos featuring parks in Ontario and the Sea to Sky corridor in British Columbia. So that said, I'm going to share a video of the winter spot we have for 2023 that is asking guests to be open to trying something new, somewhere new.
Sometimes you gotta push yourself to the limits.
King, I'm a wear a crown.
Even if your limit is snowplowing at like 3 miles per hour.
Kilometers. This is Canada.
Sorry. Sometimes you gotta run with the big dogs. or just kind of get dragged behind them. And yeah, you might fall. I can't feel my ass. Things might get hot. Or a bit chilly. But it's fine. You can just go inside.
Le poison, s'il vous plaît.
Le poisson?
Because when you try something new, even a failure feels like a victory. Try something new. Try Canada.
Nous voulons tirer profit de la capacité du Canada de faire croître la demande pour l'automne et l'hiver. Nous mettons aussi en vedette des histoires présentant les cultures canadiennes et autochtones à travers la cuisine, la musique, l'art, la langue, la danse et bien d'autres encore.
Notre autre priorité cette année est le consortium de données touristiques canadiennes. Michel, pourriez-vous résumer le travail que notre équipe a fait cette année?
Certainement, Marsha. Comme je l'ai mentionné plus tôt, nous avons besoin de données pour orienter les stratégies et les décisions de Destination Canada, de nos partenaires, des gouvernements et des entreprises du secteur. The uncertainty brought on by the pandemic and geopolitical unrest resulted in an absolute reliance on timely and credible data to inform decisions. This need for information exposed that we have some significant shortcoming in our existing tourism data and systems nationally, especially on the supply side.
Well, there are so many countries that are heavily investing in tourism data to drive benefits to their tourism sector, and all have identified and funded tourism data initiatives. Nowadays, remaining competitive means having great data.
We've been developing a trusted, central, and secure source of private and public sector intelligence that we can deploy in Canada. Le consortium des données, c'est ainsi que nous l'avons appelé, donne au Canada l'occasion de dépasser rapidement la concurrence en unifiant les bassins de données partout au pays dans un système de partage et d'accès sécurisé. An important part of this is that it's a two-way street of both sharing data and accessing data within the tourism ecosystem. There is substantial evidence that point to the economic and social benefit of data access and sharing. Overall, these studies suggest that for the Canadian tourism sector, this could equate to the generation of social and economic benefit in the range of up to $1 billion. So we're excited to already have industry stakeholders lining up to be part of our pilots in 2023. This platform will give easy access to guest insights so tourism businesses can get more for their marketing dollar and help curate local experiences. It will inform policy and better capture the impact of tourism at the urban and rural local levels. It will also improve investment by marrying supply with demand-side data so that we can identify opportunity and create value in our communities.
Wow. Well, finally, let's talk a bit about another key priority for 2023, destination development. To fulfill our mandate, we need to look at both sides of competitiveness. Marketing supports our short-term competitiveness, but destination development is what is really needed to improve Canada's long-term competitiveness.
Totally agree. To remain globally competitive, we have to offer experiences that meet the ever-changing expectations of travelers and the marketplace. We are competing against other destinations around the world where they are investing heavily in their tourism infrastructure and experiences. For instance, Singapore is a gold standard in the world for how they connect their convention center to all aspects of their economy. France will benefit from the revitalized Orient Express luxury train that will be running between Istanbul and Paris as part of the Silk Road Initiative. Private investment in hotel development has really increased in the southern Italian region of Puglia. And many countries are attracting global events as part of their regenerative tourism focus. Nous observons de bons exemples d'investissement au Canada. Toutefois, nous devons garder le cap et investir encore davantage pour maintenir le rythme de nos concurrents.
And we spent 2022 investigating how we could take a stronger role in destination development right across Canada in support of our partners. Avec le programme stratégique de corridors touristiques, nous aidons à accélérer le développement des destinations de multiples corridors au Canada en axant nos efforts sur les parcours interprovinciaux qui sont généralement les plus difficiles à développer. 3 corridors are part of Destination Canada's pilot program this year. Atlantic Canada's UNESCO sites, Northern Canada's Indigenous Tourism Lodges Network, and Alberta and British Columbia's Prairies to Pacific Sustainable Tourism Journey. We'll share more about our destination development efforts as the work progresses. Voilà qui conclut la deuxième partie de notre présentation d'aujourd'hui sur nos priorités en 2023. J'espère que vous voyez comment nos priorités continuent sur la lancée de nos succès de l'an dernier. Before I move on, I want to share our updated forecast to show how all the work in 2022 and 23 has been successfully rebuilding our industry. Building on the momentum from 2022 and with our key activities so far for 2023, our latest forecast is projecting a return to 2019 levels by early 2024. And while business events performance is still lagging behind 2019 levels, they are at the highest levels that we've seen since the pandemic began, and we're working really hard to reach pre-pandemic levels by 2026. Our upside outlook says it's possible we could even see a full revenue recovery from leisure travel in 2023. You can see on this slide the variations. Domestic spend will fully recover to 100% this year. US spend will reach 91% in 2023 and grow to 112% by 2024. And all other international recovery will be pretty modest at 64% in 2023 and is not really expected to fully recover to 100% until about 2026. A part of this growth, about 11%, is from the inflationary impact, where we're seeing higher rates and spending, and not just growth from higher visitor volumes. Ces chiffres montrent que l'avenir s'annonce très prometteur. Mais pour atteindre ces prévisions, nous devons garder le Canada en tête des priorités des voyageurs. Le Canada doit être une destination plus concurrentielle qui offre les expériences que recherchent les voyageurs d'aujourd'hui. In our final section today, I want to share one initiative we're doing with industry partners and with our federal shareholder to ensure our tourism sector is rebuilding itself for even greater future success and resilience. That is the strategy work we're doing to improve Canada's competitiveness. This work must engage the collective will of our sector, from our North Star partners to industry associations to business operators to government policymakers. Maintenant que la relance est bien amorcée, ces leaders d'opinion de l'équipe Canada nous aident à déterminer comment le Canada peut s'imposer sur la scène internationale. Looking into the future to 2030, we're working toward this new collective ambition, an ambition driven by the new federal tourism growth strategy. In the year 2009, Canada was ranked 5th in the world as a tourism destination by the World Economic Forum's Travel and Tourism Index. By 2018, we had dropped to 9th, and by 2020, we were in 13th place, behind places like Italy, the US, France, and Australia. We need to determine what factors are enabling other countries to surpass Canada and what factors are negatively contributing to our declining ranking. We're engaging the brain trust within North Star partners. We're seeking the input of Canada's national tourism associations across the many industries in our sector. We're listening to the expert experience of tourism businesses and we're guided by the advice of our minister and his colleagues. C'est un processus très complexe et difficile, mais la collaboration est la meilleure façon de s'attaquer aux problèmes. This is complex, collective work that will be a key focus for Destination Canada over the next couple of years as we prepare for transformative growth and greater resilience. We look forward to keeping our stakeholders informed on this journey. So that's it for today. You've heard about our efforts and results for 2022, our progress in recovery and rebuilding, and some key initiatives that we're working on in 2023 and for the future. Nous savons que le tourisme au Canada est un moteur de croissance économique et un contributeur majeur au bien-être socioculturel et environnemental des communautés locales. We know that recovery is uneven and that challenges remain. We also know exactly where we're going because we know what we've been through. Nous continuons nos efforts pour stimuler la reprise des recettes touristiques partout au pays et pour attirer plus de visiteurs que la concurrence. Nous nous préparons pour un avenir transformé par les événements d'aujourd'hui et les forces de demain. Une transformation de notre industrie. We're optimistic about the future. Our North Star is bright. We will continue moving forward to strengthen tourism in Canada. Let's hear from some industry leaders that are just as hopeful as we are.
I am so hopeful for tourism in this country because Team Canada has never been stronger. We have the right people in the right seats advocating for our industry.
La tendance le dit, les gens cherchent le bien-être, cherchent à se divertir, à se faire du bien. Je pense que le Canada a vraiment tout à offrir.
The pandemic has taught us that our hearts need travel. It's no longer a luxury, it's in our DNA. Travel brings people together and opens up perspectives and expands horizons.
I think what gives me hope is all of the spectacularness that we have across our country. We have amazing destinations and amazing places that people around the world want to come and see.
The biggest opportunity we have coming from an Indigenous perspective is just really harnessing that energy and harnessing that opportunity, not only for Canadians, but for the world.
I heard one word, resilience, and that is at the very core of what Indigenous people are in Canada. And that is a complete teaching tool that we can share with Canada to bring us all together, to work collectively.
La qualité du Canada à travers ses provinces et territoires qui donne une personnalité différente. La capacité de pouvoir travailler entre nous également avec les gouvernements. Et le fait qu'on est une industrie d'avenir vraiment pour la vitalité économique de l'ensemble des régions pays. Pour moi, c'est un élément d'optimisme pour l'avenir.
Our country is so open, so vibrant, so welcoming.
It truly is the fact that we are a country that together, we're better.
Travel truly can be a force for good.
Our industry is resilient, we are creative, and we are passionate. And those three things combined, we will be able to overcome any obstacle and we will strive to thrive as we go forward.
Merci d'avoir été des nôtres aujourd'hui. I look forward to working with our partners as we move beyond recovery and journey into the next era of travel together. And now, we have some time for questions. Our first question today is from the Hotel Association of Canada, which says, we're glad to see destination development work underway. Can you outline how and when you plan to engage industry investors? I'll take that one. First of all, we're thrilled to have the Tourism Corridor strategy underway in Canada, and we've selected 3 locations to work with in 2023. And each of those strategies that we are working with the areas on is going to have 3 parts. First of all, it's the strategy itself to determine with those communities in the corridor how they feel it's best to support tourism growth. The second part is about having an implementation plan, and the third part is about an investment plan from both public and private sources that we can utilize. So we'll be engaging with investment advisors and investors from multiple sectors, including hotels, but also real estate developers, pension funds, to better understand the needs and ROI that they want to see from some of these investors. So we're very excited to have this underway. We always consult deeply, I think, with industry whenever we're launching into something new, and I think the expectation is that we'll do the same on this front. Une autre question qui nous provient d'Alliance de l'industrie touristique du Québec. Rendez-vous Canada est-on maintenant terminé? Quels échos sur l'événement avez-vous reçus de la part des participants? Gloria?
C'est mon tour. Cette année, 1500 acheteurs et vendeurs ont participé à Rendez-vous Canada et plus de 50 000 rencontres ont eu lieu pendant l'événement. On estime que Rendez-vous Canada 2023 a généré plus de 90 millions de dollars en recettes touristiques futures pour le Québec et plus de 150 millions de dollars en contrats attendus pour les entreprises canadiennes. Nos partenaires du Québec ont vraiment donné leur maximum et ont impressionné les délégués par la richesse culturelle de la région. Nous avons reçu d'excellents commentaires de nombreux partenaires et entreprises. Un vendeur canadien m'a même dit que c'était son meilleur événement jusqu'à maintenant pour rencontrer des clients internationaux potentiels. Merci à l'AITC d'avoir organisé en partenariat ce salon de premier plan. Nous sommes également fiers d'avoir partagé notre espace d'exposition avec l'ATAC, ce qui témoigne de la solidité, de l'importance du partenariat que nous bâtissons.
Next, we have a question from the Tourism Industry Association of Canada. In the recent federal budget, $50 million in new resources over 3 years was proposed for Destination Canada specifically to help attract business events to Canada. Does Destination Canada plan to consult industry stakeholders on how best to use these new resources? And if so, what would the timeline for those consultations be? Well, first of all, we were delighted to receive the $50 million over 3 years to support major events in Canada. And we've recently clarified that government's intention is to support business events and conventions in urban centers across the country. We're currently working with our federal partners to understand better how that money will be profiled over the course of the 3 years and to get some of the details on exactly what the guidelines and how the impacts of that investment will be measured. So we have some work to do over the course of the summer with our with ISED and the Ministry of Finance to iron out those details. And in normal circumstances, a budget allocation that we would hear about in, let's say, April of 2023, as we did this year, would end up in our budget in 2024 for Destination Canada, our fiscal year 2024. So we'll be working together with our government partners to confirm how those funds may be used, how they'll be measured, and then we will build our 3-year plan accordingly. So we're looking forward to that, and we're very thankful for that investment.
Lastly, we have a question from our partners at Ottawa International Airport Authority. And I love this. They say, thank you, Destination Canada, for your support of our efforts to secure the new Air France nonstop service from Ottawa to Paris. Has Destination Canada looked at how they can help partners with the challenges around air access and attracting new air services? When we came out of the pandemic, we received $100 million in special funding, and part of that enabled some new initiatives for us to partner with airports, cities, and airlines to stimulate air travel back into Canada. What we As you heard, we had a number of successes. We also learned a lot. So despite the fact that that funding period is ending, what we're going to be able to do going forward is leverage everything that we learned, as well as continue to invest in strategic marketing partnerships with those air partners, because we want to continue to grow demand for more frequent international flights coming into Canada, so getting new routes, as well as some year-round frequency.
Well, that's it from us today. And while our annual public meeting is an important touch point every year, this is an ongoing conversation with industry. And I encourage you to stay in touch with us via our corporate social channels and our website at destinationcanada.com. In the coming days, our corporate website will feature a recording of this event and a list of all the questions and answers, including ones that we just couldn't get to today. So thank you again for joining us. Merci.